Hello and welcome to Stocks Down Under. My name is Stuart Roberts and I'm one of the co-founders of our service. And joining me on the morning of Thursday, the 27th of November 2025, all the way from Toronto, where I think it's still Wednesday, is Mr. Sam Pazuki, who's the CEO of AuMega Metals, ASX AAM. Sam, good evening, I suspect it'll be.
Yes, yeah. Good morning to you, Stuart. And it is Wednesday evening for me here on the 26th.
Right. Let's since I'm in your future, let's talk about the future of AuMega Metals. At the moment, we've got about 600,000 ounces in a resource in the Cape Ray project in the Canadian province of Newfoundland. There's
hmm
probably a heck of a lot more where that came from, given that you've got plans to do something like 15 or 20,000 meters of drilling next year on Cape Ray. And I look at the map here of Newfoundland, you've got a heck of a lot of project area stretching along a mineralized zone that runs for a long way, pretty much halfway across the island. Tell us about the origins of Cape Ray and how you end up with so much ground there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Cape Ray was actually one of the first locations where gold was discovered in Newfoundland. And that was maybe 20, 30 years ago. But ironically, there hasn't been a whole lot of exploration on the island until more recently, where there was a bit of a gold rush around 2016, 2017, on the back of two events, one of which was Marathon Gold's expansion of the Valentine resource, which, similar to us, was a stalled resource of about 500,000 ounces that grew just from basically drilling new targets, growing very quickly to 3 million ounces and 4 million ounces and 5 million ounces. They're still making discoveries, but it's now under the control of Equinox and it's in production. The other was Newfound Gold, where there was basically an outcrop that they drilled and had some big significant drill intercepts. So that sent a lot of investors, a lot of companies looking at Newfoundland. But where we are is on the same belt as the Valentine mine. We're the largest landowner on that same structure. There's 180 kilometers between where our 610,000 ounces are and their 5 million ounces, and much of that's undercover and underexplored. So that's the opportunity, because when you look at these gold belts around the world, there's usually more than one big deposit on them, and I feel like we're well situated to make multiple discoveries.
Right. So, positioned on a map, St. John's, which is the capital of Newfoundland, is on the opposite side of the island to you. You go northeast, you come to Gander, the place where all the planes got landed on September 11 when you couldn't fly through US airspace. You're at the southwestern part of the island, and most of the deposit is close to one of those capes there on the island. But on this trend line, we go in, and I see Equinox on the map here. Maybe is that 40 kilometers to the northwest of where you are, that juicy 5 million ounce deposit?
Yeah, well, Equinox is about, again, from the tip of our land package to where they are, it's about 200 kilometers, but it's
Right.
around 180 kilometers from where Cape Ray is.
Okay. Talk to us about the geological setting, this big trend that we're talking about, which is potentially host to multiple deposits.
Yeah, again, much is actually unknown about the geology in this belt because it's underexplored, but we're one of the few companies that's actually moved away from the resource to explore other basically new frontiers within this land package. And as we've gone north on the belt, we see that the geology does change, but it's more or less, from top to down, it's more or less an orogenic system. And when you look at orogenic systems globally, again, as I mentioned, there's usually big deposits on them. And because it's underexplored, only one big one has been discovered. You've got ours as well, which is small and growing. But that's the opportunity and the potential. And we're learning more and more as we do work about what the geology is. And one of the things that we have highlighted more recently in the last several months or so is that Newfoundland geologists had dismissed the idea of porphyries in Newfoundland. And we have a couple projects, a couple things which look pretty interesting, and there's quite a bit of smoke that suggests that that theory could be debunked. The more work we do, the more we get stronger conviction. So again, as I said, I mean, a lot of this geology is just unknown, and we're figuring it out as we do work.
Right. Now, just behind you there is an interesting picture of part of Newfoundland. there's a big granite structure that's coming out roughly where your head is in the screen there. That's one of the new targets that you're going after. Talk to us about that particular granite and why you think it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one target that we have that, potentially could be a porphyry. It's one of those things where, again, there's a geologist about 20 years ago that wrote a report trying to determine when gold came into the system. That big granite. It's a massive intrusive unit, which is not that. I mean, relatively speaking, not that far away from where our gold resource is. Um, and it's 5 kilometers in diameter. And this report suggested that it's not mineralized because it was formed after gold got there. But we've been doing a bit of work over the course of this year, and we are finding that this structure is actually mineralized. So we announced about 6 weeks ago or so that we've identified a multi-kilometer gold trend, and we've got multiple lines on this granite to the western edges of it. So we basically have multi-kilometer gold trend on the fringes of a massive intrusive unit. More recently, B2 Gold, who's a 10% strategic investor in AuMega, pointed out to me in a meeting that I had with them in Vancouver that the geological setting of this granite with the golden till anomalism on big structures seems similar to Snowline, which they're also a 10% shareholder of, which had a similar setting. They started to drill, and they've got 9 million ounce plus, over $1 billion market cap company.
Right.
So
So
yeah, fingers crossed that this, could be a Snowline part two. But again, this is something nobody had thought that it was mineralized until we did some work this year and proved them wrong.
right. Till is not a word that many Aussie investors know because we're not used to dealing with cold parts of the world. But it's basically where glaciers have moved rocks from one place to the other, and often that gives clues as to where mineralized settings can be found.
Yeah, that's right. We're sitting on a nice divide here. And so part of I guess, the puzzle here is to figure out where the material we've identified on the surface, where it was transported from. Luckily, where we are, we're sitting where the ice sheets haven't moved substantially. As we move up on the belt, there's evidence to suggest there's a little bit more movement. But where the Cape Ray Valentine Lake shear is, there actually hasn't been a whole lot of movement of that till material. So it's actually, and it's just something that we've put a lot of effort into. We've got a glaciologist that works for us, who's spent a lot of time investigating sort of how the ice has traveled and how the material has moved. And one of the things we found, even just recently this year, is that golden till or till results or till sampling is a good vector for us to identify where the deposits might be. And we use that with our own deposits. If the only information we had was the geochemistry, we would have discovered the deposits. So right now it's a great vector. That golden till results that I mentioned across the multi-kilometer gold trend in Cape Ray West, on the fringes of that granite, it's sitting on top of major structures. And that's what you want to see. You want to see golden till anomalism, but you also want to see it sitting on top of structures.
Right. So basically, to understand Amiga, as we said, about 4 weeks from Christmas 2025, you've got original foundation deposit. You're now stepping out of that with some new thinking on various deposits. We've talked earlier about porphyries potentially showing up in Newfoundland where they weren't expected. We've got this granite. Talk to us about some of the other targets that we'll go and explore in 2026.
Yeah, well, we've got a target right now that we're drilling, so not too far away from this granite. It's a target that we identified this year just from doing an electromagnetic survey. The central zone deposit that we have, which is where most of our gold is, it's also the highest grade. It's hosted in a graphitic schist, and when you fly or do any electromagnetic survey over it, it should give you a strong signature, an EM signature, because it's a great conductor. So we flew this EM survey just to see, okay, what does that look like, and do we see it anywhere else on the property? And so I identified a dozen or so EM anomalies throughout the Cape Ray project, including an anomaly to the north of that granite that we just spoke about, the one that's behind me in the image. But there was one area that was only half a kilometer away to the southeast of Central Zone that was massive. And so this is an area that people have walked past, driven past for 20 years, but nobody had ever looked to see if there's any sort of mineralization. So there's a lot of smoke, and we started the drill program a couple of weeks ago, or about a week ago, I should say, with one drill rig, and we just announced yesterday that we've mobilized the second drill rig, and that drill rig started turning today. So we're going to drill as much as we can with these two drill rigs until Christmas, and see what comes out of that drill program. And then in addition to that, we've been doing a lot of work. I like to say we've been digging up Newfoundland all year, doing these till surveys. And one of the areas is a project called Bunker Hill, which is about 100 kilometers away from Cape Ray. We did put some drill holes into that earlier this year as part of a winter program, but frankly, we were too early to drill. We were missing an important layer of data, which is the geochemistry, to go along with the geophysics and the outcrops that we have there. So we have about 70% of the till results back. We haven't published anything yet to the market. We expect the rest of the till results to come back soon, but we will provide an update to the market. And I am very confident to say that, through the work that we've done this year, we're going to have several drill-ready targets in the portfolio.
Okay. For investors who don't know you, you're an interesting cat for an early stage gold company. You're a mining engineer by background. Talk to us about where you've come from before joining AuMega.
Yeah, I think my mining engineering friends would get upset with that comment because I'm not a mining engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
So in their eyes, it's not good enough.
Right.
But I've been in the mining industry, involved in operations for a number of years. I was previously with OceanaGold, which operates two mines in New Zealand, one in the Philippines, one in South Carolina. Used to be an ASX issuer when I was there, dual listed TSX, ASX, and I managed corporate development for them. So it is unusual to go from sort of producer to explorer. And I can tell you whether you're a mining engineer or mechanical engineer, the last thing you want to do is exploration. But for me, what drew me to this opportunity is the scale of what we have, because that's exactly what we were looking for at Oceana. And where we are, I had this theory that the structure we're on, Newfoundland, will be the next big mining district in Canada, anchored initially by the Valentine mine, which is, as I mentioned, has gone into production. And then is underexplored, meaning the opportunities to find more of the Valentine deposits is real, and it just requires time, effort, and capital, of course, to make those discoveries. And as I mentioned, we're well situated on this structure, and after 3 years, I'd say my conviction in the opportunity has only grown.
Sam Pazuki, thanks for joining Stocks Down Under.
Yeah, no, glad to be on the show. Appreciate the opportunity.